Good afternoon, traders. Happy Saturday. Very nice to have a beautiful weekend break. So I just did a webinar about monthly charts. Went over a lot of monthly charts. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out in the archives on Ticker TV. I haven't named it yet, so you won't be able to find it yet. And I will also post it to my YouTube page when it's finished processing. But I realized that I forgot to go over crude oil. Hard to believe, since it's one of the primary charts that I look at every day. But so let's do it now. Let's look at crude. I'm looking at the continuous contract on CL here. We're currently trading the October contract. And this is we're looking at the monthly here from 96 until present time. So it's very interesting to see the moves that crude has made. I myself didn't start trading crude until around 2010, I believe. So it's really interesting to see these crazy moves that it put in the meantime. So back in '99, crude was trading for $10.65 a barrel. It's really, I was actually traveling cross country in that time period. I was driving around in an Airstream. I was towing an Airstream with a Chevy Suburban, and gas was under $1 in certain parts of the country, which was very good for me because my Suburban got 11 miles to the gallon. So it was still kind of expensive for gas, but I definitely remember paying less than $1 a gallon for gas back then. But so recently you heard that I'm going to zoom in while I'm talking. So recently you heard that, you probably heard, if you trade crude, you heard that Goldman Sachs decided to project that that crude could go back to $20 a barrel. So they must be really short and in the hole, is all I can say. Because I really think that is unlikely, but far be it from me to predict such things. So looking at the monthly right here, I'm going to show you a little Fibonacci technique that I like to use. I like to draw Fibonacci retracements from Chikou levels, and what a Chikou level is a level where the Chikou reversed. And Chikou is this red line here, representing price action time shifted 26 periods into the past, so 26 months in this case. So I'm going to go for the top level here, and I might not nail it exactly, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to try. And you'll also notice that where the Chikou levels are generally where the candle bodies are, which is generally where I draw fibs anyway from. I don't usually like to include the wicks in my fibs just because I've found that they tend to make more accurate levels for me and the things that I trade to draw them the way that I do. So certain vehicles, trading vehicles, products trade better, or the levels are better if you draw fibs using the wicks. I find that in products where there's a lot of algo activity and a lot of stop running, such as crude, that not including the fibs works better. Not including the wicks works better for me. So anyway, so we're looking at, let's see, this open was 140.18. So I'm just correcting the fibs because I want to be a perfectionist here. Because if I tell you levels, I want them to be correct. And this one is, let's see, the close 41.68. I should know these levels because I've been drawing the same ones for years now. 140.18 and 41.68. So that's just an example of a technique that I use, and it's kind of cool to give some great levels. Like, for instance, this level in here from 2009 2009 until 2010, this 79.31, which was the 38.2 level off the bottom, or the 61.8 level from the top here, from the 140.18 level that I drew, proved to be a very, very important level. This 79.31 level has been very important. Actually, was through this whole time period, 2009, 2010. But also then became important once again in 2012, put in the bottom there, and then this general level became more important again in 13, put in the bottom there, and then in 2014 tried to find support there and then sold from there. So the 79.31 or thereabouts, that area, the 80 area has been important for crude for a long time. But these major fibs are not that important to us right now. Let's zoom in. And unless, what's helpful here is it gives us this 41.68 level to keep an eye on in current price, because that could indeed become important again. So looking at the monthly Ichimoku analysis, and I'm going to go through multiple time frames here with crude. So looking at the monthly analysis, we see that we have a Tenkan smackdown going on here. We lost the Tenkan Sen up here in 2014 in July, after putting in this high of 107.68. We reversed, and it's been a solid downtrend until the bounces that have occurred this year. But ever since we lost the Tenkan Sen here, crude has basically been, it was still bullish because it was still over the cloud, but it's been a sell, and it tried to find support, and also at the 50% level, fib level, tried to find support around 90 or 91, I should say, and failed. Came down. Tried to find support at this fib level, at that I previously mentioned, 79.31. This was last year in 2014 in October. Failed that level. Continued down to the 23.6 area, thereabouts. Tried to put in a bottom. Had some buying coming in up to 69.54. Lost that level again. I hope you can see you can follow where my cursor is. It's probably quite faint, but I hope you can follow along with what I'm looking at. Then we sort of partied around the 13.3 fib, around 54.78 around the end of last year and the beginning of this year. Continued selling. Then we've been trading in this range between let's say 42. 42, 41 really was the bottom of the range until recently. For the last year, we've been trading in this range basically between, let's say, 42 and 55. We did get above 55 in April, and after making this bullish move off the 47, around the 48 level, after putting in this long-legged doji, sort of signaling the bottom of the downtrend, we changed trends, went up to the upside, put in another reversal type candle in May, all the while still being under the Tenkan Sen. You see the blue line here, the light blue line here, the Tenkan Sen. Then we put in another doji type candle in June, this time a red doji with a close below the body of the other candle, but in a smaller range. And then we opened the July candle and were unable to get back over the Tenkan Sen, and then had a very bearish month for crude. The range for July was around 59 to 46.68 was the bottom. Then last month we put in a low of 37.75 and had a significant bounce back over this 41.68 level, and put in a hammer type candle suggesting a potential reversal to the upside. This is a very nice reversal type candle, but thus far we have been unable to confirm any reversal, and thus far we are still in a downtrend on the current month that's trading right now. But as you know, it's really the close that we're looking for, so we haven't had a close on this month yet, so it'll be very interesting to see where the close is. But while you're trading crude, until this candle closes for the rest of the month, for the remaining 2 weeks of the month, we want to keep a careful eye on the 5017 level. If we do get buying to the upside, that could be an important rejection area and might be a good place to short if we do trade up there. Currently, we are at 44.78. If we go lower, I would be looking at that 41.68 level again, or thereabouts. Let's see, this low was 42.41. So yeah, like the $42 to $43 level will be important to watch for a bounce if we do trade lower. Let's look at the weekly. On the weekly time frame, we see that, and I'm going to eliminate my drawings at this point because they were drawn on the monthly time frame, so they're not as relevant to the shorter time frames. So looking at the weekly time frame, you see that after we put in this nice bounce 2 weeks ago, last week's candle came up and even moved significantly higher above the Tenkan-sen, sort of tempting bulls to get on board, and then sold off and closed under the Tenkan-sen yet again. So this was tricky because once we were significantly over the Tenkan-sen, I was doing things like one technique that I like to do here. I'll zoom in and do it for you to show you what I do. So once we get above a Tenkan-sen on something that I'm trading on, I do it on multiple time frames. I like to measure the distance between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. I do this on the opposite. If I'm trading on a bullish over the cloud, I'm trading a pullback to breakout type pattern, this is just the opposite of that. If we come down and test the Tenkan-sen and then go below it, I like to measure the distance between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. So this is your little CloudChartist Ichimoku tip that you get for tuning into this video. So I like to draw some fibs between the Kijun-sen, which is located at 50.17. Nailed that one. To the Tenkan-sen, which is at 48. The Tenkan-sen, which is at 45.63. Boom. How about that? I actually nailed it. So this gives us some levels to look at, and actually, oops, bear with me. So actually, at the time that I did this last week, I would have been using the last week's Tenkan-sen level, which is more like 46.55 thereabouts. That's close, but not right. So we see that if we zoom in on just this one particular area, if I can get my platform to do it. My platform doesn't want to do it. But you see that we did trade all the way up to the 78.6, which is at 49.38, and these levels aren't totally accurate because I didn't quite nail it, but we traded almost up to the 78.6 between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. So it was helpful to have these levels at the time. when trading this. And that's about all I have to say. I hope you understood. I hope that was helpful in some way and that you understood that. So, with what we have going on, but then we sold and we lost the 10 consent. So once we got back under 46.53, things were no longer looking so bullish for crude, and we opened up the new candle, and then sold below it. So what we're dealing with now is we do have a nice bottoming tail in place, but in order for crude to turn back bullish, we really need to get back over the 45.63 level, the 10 consent here on the weekly time frame. So keep an eye on that 45.63 level. If we do get above the 45.63 level, then I will be drawing those fibs again and then be looking at other fib levels between the 10 consent and the Kijun-sen. But until then, crude is still fully bearish on the weekly time frame. Let's go to the daily. On the daily time frame, pretty interesting, right? We find that crude was trading above the 10 consent, and we got a nice bull cross here, and the 10 consent offered support on the daily time frame. This was on the 8th, so that was last Tuesday. We got this really nice move off the 10 consent. Really, we got a, let's see, that was around 44.14, and the low was 40 exactly. So we got an exact bounce off the 10 consent at 44.14. That 44.14, 44.08, that 44 level is proving to be quite important support. You can see multiple touches of that 44 support level, including this current last Friday's candle traded down to let's see, the low was 44.16, so very important, these 44s. But so after this bounce, we put in this doji, long-legged doji, which looked a bit precarious as far as not really a good-looking candle for higher potential trend change candle. And indeed, we this was actually like an outside candle, so we were still technically in a downtrend, and indeed we continued the downtrend as we were unable to make a higher high and a higher low on, this was the 9th, so that was Wednesday. But then we came down and tested the Kijun-sen and put in a nice bounce off the Kijun-sen on Thursday, but we were unable to get above the Tenkan-sen here. And then the next, on Friday's trading, the Tenkan-sen was actually lower, and we were unable to get above the lower Tenkan-sen. So on the daily time frame, we're trading in a range on crude between the Kijun-sen at 43.54 and the Tenkan-sen at 46.04. Not a very big range. We see over here that the Chikou is running into the candles. It's currently inside this small hammer type candle. If we move higher, the Chikou will find resistance at the Tenkan-sen at 46.59, which is actually over the Tenkan-sen current price, so up above the Tenkan-sen. So that would be a bullish break over the Tenkan-sen. Or if we move lower, we will be rejected and maybe find support again back at the 44 area. So in the larger scheme of this chart, this chart is bearish, obviously, under the Tenkan-sen. Under the cloud and under the Tenkan-sen. But we do have support of the Kijun-sen. And moving forward, so let's see if I can. We're going to run into the cloud, basically, and that's going to be, let's see, the 21st is about, so by the end of the week, we're going to run into the cloud, no matter what happens, unless we go significantly lower and don't even hit the cloud, which is possible. But so if you want to be bullish for crude, you're going to want things to get over 46 because we're going to need to get a close inside the cloud at some point by the end of the week. Otherwise, it's likely that price will continue to trade under the cloud and could follow the contour of the cloud lower. In a couple weeks, we see that we have this flat cloud above. So if we do make it into the cloud and move sideways in the cloud, we could be attracted to this flat area at the top of the cloud in the future at 49.66. But that is in 2 weeks or so, so I'm not going to get too predictive because this is a very wide range. The cloud could do anything. But since we're bearish under the cloud, it's more likely that we'll trade under the cloud and continue lower. I don't think we're going to 20 next week or even the week after, but we'll see what happens. If we do lose the 43.50 level, then we can talk about levels to the downside, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's look at the 4-hour. Oh, it's cool. I see that I have a fair amount of people watching me live. Feel free to ask questions, guys, if anybody has any questions. So on the 4-hour chart, we're in neutral, which we're inside the cloud. Anytime price action is inside the cloud, it's neutral. We see that the Chikou is also inside the cloud, so also neutral. And if I zoom in, we can get some more details about these levels. So we see, a lot of confusion, really, a lot of conflicting stuff, which is appropriate for neutrality in a tightening range. You see that candles are getting smaller and longer wicks, so showing lots of indecision in this area. We're smack dab right in the middle of the cloud, and we're very close to the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen at this point. The last 4-hour candle that closed put in a close under the Kijun-sen, but tested over the Tenkan-sen. We do have a bull cross currently of the Tenkan-sen over the Kijun-sen. So we're pretty tangled up in this range, and that is not very inspiring for trading CL. Honestly, I haven't really been interested in trading it, although this would have had anyone been paying attention to the 4-hour candles and seeing all this price rejection up here at the 45.75 area, that would have been a nice short to take, and you would have seen the Kijun-sen offering support at 44.88. So neutral on the 4-hour time frame for crude. Let's go to the hourly. And this is, I'm showing you more of a process that, rather than, because the hourly, is going to be totally different by the time we get trading again. So, because we're going to open Sunday night and start doing stuff. But anyway, the hourly is currently unable to get over the Tenkan-sen at 44.82. So the hourly is bearish and has resistance at that level and also at the bottom of the cloud. So the bias on the hourly time frame is bearish, but we do have the Chikou over here, which has support at about 44.70, the Kijun-sen here. So that could help support price. Also, the cloud is very thin here, and we have a cloud twist here, so very tight range and indecision currently in the hourly time frame for crude. We'll just go quickly through the shorter time frames. These are more of the time frames that intraday traders use. So on the 30-minute time frame, still we're bearish under the cloud, under the Kijun-sen, under the Tenkan-sen, but the Chikou does have support and is inside the cloud, moving sideways. So it's important on the 30-minute time frame for, if you want to be bullish, for us to first get over the 44.82 Kijun-sen level. Then we could head towards 45, and to actually get this chart in a bullish formation, we want to get back into the cloud and over the cloud. So we need to get over 45 to even be neutral on the shorter time frame. Let's look at the 15-minute. 15 minutes, extremely tight action you see here, but we are neutral in the 15-minute time frame, and we are inside the cloud, but we can't get over the Tenkan-sen here or the Kijun-sen. So we need to get over the 44.78 level to do anything on the Kijun-sen, inside the cloud. But really we need to, and you see the cloud ahead on the 15-minute time frame is getting very narrow here. So I think we're going to get tightening price action before maybe getting a move, and I can't tell you whether it's going to be from to the upside or to the downside, but the longer term time frames suggest that down before up. Anyway, thanks for watching my crude analysis, my Ichimoku analysis on crude on multiple time frames, starting from the monthly and moving up to the 15-minute chart. You get a little bit of an insight into my process, and thanks for watching, and feel free to follow me here on Ticker TV, and you'll be notified when I come streaming again. And check my Twitter feed at CloudChartist for archives of this video and my prior monthly video if you're interested in watching, and then you'll be directed to my YouTube page, and you can follow me on YouTube too if you want to be notified when I upload videos there. And have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks for watching.